So we're here with Alicia Huang, and so we are here to be able to understand her journey where she is with music in terms of the Parness competition, which she just won. And so it's interesting because she has a sister who is also a winner who we spoke with, Catherine. And so we're excited to now talk with Alicia about her journey. Welcome, Alicia.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here.
So let's just get started with how old are you? What school do you go to? And what instrument do you play?
Okay, I'm 12. I go to a public school at Irvine, Rancho San Joaquin Middle School, and I play the violin.
And how long have you been playing violin?
Oh, I've been playing violin for about 7 years.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, what piece did you play for the Parness competition?
Oh, for the Parness competition, I played Kabalevsky Violin Concerto in C major.
Wow. And so, what made you pick that piece? Was it something that you picked or your teacher picked, or how did you come to play that piece for the performance?
Well, first of all, the teacher gave me a few options to pick from. And at last, I think I decided to pick this one because this one is like very playful, and I like C major, and I really like this piece. And I've never played a piece from Kabalevsky, so I was pretty excited about it. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. And that's a performer or a composer that I have not heard as much about. So, was that part of what made it interesting to you? Is that a composer that's maybe lesser known?
Yeah. I think maybe people don't play this piece as often, so it's really interesting to kind of see like different composers' pieces and like their style and how they wrote the music. And this piece is from the 20th century, so it's pretty cool to play a music from 20th century. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, a living composer or someone that was alive in the last at least 100 years. So, how did you come to playing the violin? Was that the instrument that you chose or your parents chose or it was available?
Uh, okay. So I'm not really sure, but I think my parents, my mom used to play violin and piano. She's piano major, but she also used to play violin. When I was younger, I also played piano first, but then it's like piano is not an instrument you can play in like an orchestra, and piano is like also super competitive. So like I want like an instrument where I can play in like an orchestra and like a group. And like, so yeah, so I decided to play violin. My mom suggested me to play violin, I think. Yeah.
Nice. Well, your sister said that she chose the flute because you were playing the violin. So I knew that you played the violin, and that
Oh,
was great that you got to pick first.
yay. Okay.
So are there any violinists that you look up to, like people that you listen to, or your teacher has shown you, or maybe your teacher, like who do you kind of, I guess, follow after?
Okay, so a violinist I look up to first is my teacher. She's a really amazing violinist. She gave a lot of tips of like how a real musician in like a music world and stuff like will do. She graduated from Juilliard. Yeah. And also another like violinist I really look up to is Itzhak Perlman. He just have this when he's playing, he has this music and emotion while he's playing, and he just plays really like differently, I think, and unique compared to other violinists.
Nice. And your teacher went to Juilliard. Do you think that that's a school maybe or something like that you would want to do in the future?
She participated in lots of music festivals and competitions. I think I would like to do festivals when I'm older because it's a really cool experience from what she told me.
Nice. What's the difference between a competition like this and a festival?
Uh, so a competition like this is like where you prepare your piece by yourself and you try to do your best to get like a good score or place in the competition. A festival is where sometimes you get to play a lot of different stuff. You audition to get in, and then there will be stuff like chamber orchestra or orchestras, and you can be with a lot of different people. And it might be away from where you live. So I think it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So then you started playing the last 7 years. So you played in elementary school and now you're in middle school.
Yep.
What is the difference of playing in elementary school versus middle school now?
Okay, so in elementary school, I feel like it's a bit less competitive because people just started to pick up the instrument and they just started playing. But into the middle school, it's like a whole new level. People above this age, they practice hours every day, and then they play music so more maturely, and they just have a sense of like better musicality, maybe, and it's just like a whole new level. Yeah.
And so now that you won the competition and you'll eventually play with the orchestra, is this your first time playing with a full orchestra?
No, when I was fifth grade, I think, I played Vivaldi Summer with another orchestra called Pacific Academy Foundation Orchestra. Yeah.
Nice. And so as you study the violin, do you think that you would eventually want to maybe compose or write your own songs for violin?
I'm not really sure, but about composition, but maybe I will when I get older. Like I might change.
Sure. What do you think is the hardest thing about playing the violin, and what do you think is the most interesting thing about playing the violin?
The hardest thing about playing the violin is to have the right left hand and right hand coordination because that really change your tone, your sounds, and when you're like nervous, like in a concert or competition, that can really mess you up. So yeah, think about that during a concert, competition, or just normal practicing can really like help.
So, when you do the Parness competition, you submit a video on YouTube and then you perform live. You all performed live at the Salit Conservatory in Burbank. So, was playing in the audition and playing live about the same, or were you a little bit more nervous or is it a little more challenging with the live judges?
Playing in an audition, which is just a video, it's not as I was not as nervous because I could take multiple takes to try to get best recording possible. But live competition, yes, I did get nervous, but when I walk in, people were very encouraging and they were pretty friendly, so that kind of calmed me down a bit. And when I'm just doing the live competition, I was just enjoying the music.
As you should, as you should. So then, when you're working on a piece like this, like how long do you practice? Like how many weeks or months? Like how long do you have to practice this piece?
Oh, that piece before competition, I've practiced for like roughly 3 to 4 months, and I practice every day. Yeah.
Wow. And every day, like how long do you normally practice?
Normally, like 2 to 3 hours a day.
And you never get tired or bored or
Well, not really, because I really like playing the violin, and that motivates me.
interesting, interesting. And so when you're working on this piece, do you play it normally just kind of as is, or do you have opportunities to make changes or make it more you?
Yeah, when I play this piece, I kind of play it to what I think the composer likes, but I also added into my personality, my expression on it, and I change in different sections of the music of how I play.
So then outside of music, when you're in school, what other subjects do you like in school?
I really like math because it I really like to challenge myself, and math always Math class has always been very interesting to me.
What specifically about math? Like, what are you studying now?
I'm studying like algebra too, like high school math right now. One thing very interesting about math is like I can kind of in normal life, I can relate a lot of stuff to math. Like when you go shopping, you can kind of relate to math. And yeah.
Do you listen to classical music when you study, or do you prefer to do work or study in silence?
Oh, I do listen to classical music to study, but sometimes I get so distracted. My mom will ask me not to do that.
That makes sense. Yeah, especially playing classical music, it's easy to get distracted because it's so interesting and you're so interested in it. So then outside of school subjects and outside of music, do you have any other hobbies or interests or things that you like to do?
I like to play tennis. I started like 2 years ago, but it's very fun and it's like my main sport now.
Really?
Yeah.
And so tennis, are you playing singles, doubles?
Well, both. In
Okay.
classes, we just play both too, and I got to pair up with different partners and different people, so that's pretty fun.
That is pretty fun. Now, in school and just with practicing, do you have a lot of friends that are like in orchestra or playing with you in school, or you have a lot of friends that don't really play music?
I have a handful of friends that doesn't really play anything. Most of them that play an instrument is piano, but they don't really play for it competitively. They just play it because their mom told them to. But also another handful of people go to orchestras with me. I have been with them in different orchestras, like at school orchestra, Pacific Symphony Youth orchestras, and like All State Irvine and those kind of stuff. Yeah.
And have your friends seen you perform, like play?
Yeah, they saw it on YouTube.
Oh, nice. What did they say?
They say, "How can you memorize the music for 4 minutes straight?"
And so, how do you memorize music when you have to memorize your pieces?
For me, memorizing isn't that big of a problem because naturally when I play more, I practice a lot. The music is just in my brain and I have the muscle memory. So I I just memorize it. Yeah.
So, let's go back to when you started 7 years ago, when you picked up the violin and you started playing. How did you feel? Like, did you naturally kind of acclimate to it pretty quickly, or were you thinking, "Oh wow, this is really difficult"?
Oh, I was thinking it was really difficult. Especially I remember the first lesson I was struggling to even hold the bow for like an entire hour.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone struggles in the beginning, and then eventually they learn like how to do it. So, what do you remember, like what you started learning with, like pieces or parts of songs? Like, how did you start learning violin?
I start learning, I think I used to keep Violin books and I just use that for the first 3 or 4 years. Like that's my main course of study. And then slowly I get into more like concerto. And when I was 8, I started joining orchestras. Yeah. So
Yes. Did you like doing the Suzuki, or did you prefer when you were actually starting to play pieces in the orchestra?
I prefer when I'm starting to play pieces in the orchestra. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, is there a piece from when you started that you remember, like one that you really liked?
From Suzuki? Well,
Or in your orchestra, were there any songs that you're like,
okay.
wow, I really like that for violin?
Okay, orchestra. Yes, there's a piece I really like. Was Jupiter by Hoist. I think that's how you say it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that piece was really cool. It's a full orchestra piece. Got to hear the wind sections play, and I really enjoyed playing that piece.
And so, when you're playing with the orchestra, like, how do you focus on your part when you're hearing all the other parts around you?
So playing in the orchestra is quite interesting because oh, you're trying to listen and then go along together with the rest of the orchestra. So, like, I have to first be very familiar with the parts of what I'm playing. And while I'm playing, I would just think of the music around me and what I'm listening to and just trying to fit into them. I think, yeah.
So then, and I didn't come from the classical world. I came from the contemporary music world. But in the orchestra, you're playing violin. They have first chair, second chair. You have a conductor. Sometimes they have like a concert master, and then you're also looking at the music. Like, how do you focus? Because aren't you looking at a few different things, like the music and the conductor and the people around you at the same time?
Yeah, so for the music, usually we higher like we change the music stand higher to our eye level to where we can see the conductor so we can look at the music and then look at the conductor and the concertmaster for a bit and then we could go back to our music. Also for like those transition parts are really like the only times where we will look at the conductor and concertmaster. For the rest parts, we obviously look at the conductor, but we mostly also use our ears to listen.
And so when you're working on a piece or practicing, how do you focus? Because you have, you're looking at like the notes and the rhythm, like the duration of the notes. And then you also kind of have like your intonation and the dynamic. So like, do you focus on certain things more than others, or you have to focus on all of them?
Yeah, I have to focus on all of them, but I focus on the style of the music and intonation and like the rhythm and just following along, like those kind of stuff more.
Amazing. And so as you are progressing through the season, besides winning this competition and playing with the orchestra, what's next on the horizon for you?
I think, like I said earlier, I would like to join festivals, but also getting into more orchestras, and I think I need to improve my music theory.
Well, there's definitely time to be able to do that. How do you juggle, your schoolwork and your practice time and your chores and other things? Like, do you have a pretty full schedule?
Yeah, I do. So usually when I go home from school, I practice first. So, and then I do schoolwork last because I can't practice too late at night to wake up my neighbors. I've done it before. They never said anything, but it's not very good. So,
And so, obviously, being a middle schooler, I assume when you're not listening to music, you listen to other styles of music for fun. Probably you watch movies or TV or other stuff. Is there anything that you're into that is kind of inspiring or just when you want some downtime to do?
okay, so yeah, I do watch movies. If I have time, I just watch movies or I go on YouTube just to scroll or like click on random videos. But also I like to read when it's closer to nighttime. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Have you read anything interesting lately?
I read a book called Shadow and the Bone and it's really interesting. I usually like to read fantasy and adventure, those kind of books.
Nice. Is that a book that also became a movie or TV show or?
I'm actually not really sure, but
Hmm.
there is a movie. It will originally, the book is the original one, and the movie they created afterwards.
Do you think that the book is usually better than the movie? Or it
Yeah,
depends?
always, always. It's always better because words can describe more. Like words can describe more, and movies often you cannot see what the person in the movie is thinking, or yeah, and sometimes it's not very clear. So I always think book is better.
No, when I was talking with your sister, I asked her, when I was growing up, I heard a lot of classical music in television, like in cartoons or movies or in video games. Did you find you would hear classical music in different places like that?
Yeah, probably. Um, Movies. A lot of movies have classical music, and sometimes I consider movie music as like classical music because I also listen to a lot of movie music. They're just different from normal music that we played. They fit like the characters in there and the movie scene. I think it's pretty cool. Video games, I don't play a lot of video games, but I'm pretty sure there will be some classical music when the game is related to music or s story kinds, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you remember a score from a movie you think you really liked, or in orchestra, did you play any pieces from any movie scores?
I play Pirates of the Caribbean for multiple times, arrangements, and I also played Harry Potter before. Also a lot of times with different orchestras. Yeah.
Both are a very iconic types of
Yes,
music. They're
they
very
are.
popular for sure.
Yeah.
So then if you were going to, as we wrap up, if you were going to give any advice to someone who was starting out on violin or starting out in classical music where you were 7 years ago, like what would you tell them to focus on, or what would you tell them?
I'll tell them at the beginning, it's always very hard, but as you practice more and you really do play the violin, you'll find that that what is the right instrument for you, and classical music is really interesting. You'll see the tiny details of it, and it will be really fun. And in music, there are multiple art opportunities.
Well said, well said. Now, in the string section, you have the violin, you have the viola, you have the cello, you have the bass. Would you always stick with violin, or would you ever try anything else?
Um, I would probably want to try the cello because that was actually my second option when I was starting the instrument. I was choosing a string instrument, trying to choose. My mom said you can choose cello or like violin, but she said she would prefer for me to do violin. So I think I'll try cello. Yeah.
That sounds fun. I love the timbre of the cello, the lower end of it, but obviously there's more pieces for violin and more opportunities for violin.
Yeah.
So, but they very similar or different? I mean, I know you play the cello upright versus the violin, but are they pretty similar instruments or are they very different?
I will actually say they're very different because they have different kind of sounds and they also have they're very different in orchestras too, and also they play in the lower register, and oil violins it's we play higher notes, higher register.
Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure chatting with you. Before we go, is there anything about you that you would want the audience to know? Anything that we didn't cover and any other questions?
Um, just practice every day and like have fun in life, I guess.
I think that's the best way to end it. Practice every day and have fun in life. They say if you make your vocation your vacation, you'll never really work a day in your life. I think that all musicians like yourself, they practice all the time because they can constantly improve. They feel every day they can get better. And so we're excited about having you eventually programmed in with the orchestra to be able to play over the next season and a half. And so we will follow up with you when all the links are live to the podcast so that you can share it and listen to it with your friends. It'll be on YouTube and things like that. But we have enjoyed chatting with you, Alicia. And
Thank you.
congratulations again for winning the Parness competition and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye bye.